Happy November 2nd. Who is with me? I'm Shelby Dwyer. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a counselor at University Health and Counseling Services. Excuse me. This is yoga for mental wellness. Clearly, I just get too excited. But this is yoga for mental wellness, and today is going to be a little bit of like a hybrid. I'm pulling a little bit of inspiration from like Kundalini yoga, which focuses a lot on breath work and sort of meditation through movement. But we're also going to still continue to do a yin yoga practice. So more rooted to the ground, a lot more holding certain postures, definitely focusing on our breath and using the poses to get into our body rather than trying to force our body into a pose. So the only thing that you should need today for props is a pillow. I have a yoga bolster, but you can use a couple, like 1 or 2 pillows from your couch or from your bed. So if you want to go grab those, just really briefly. Also a heads up, I have a Fitbit. I don't get like alerts on it, but I am going to use it during the beginning to time us. And then periodically I do check it for time. So that's what you'll see me doing, just so you're aware. So yin yoga is a style of yoga that came about in probably, I think it was like the 1970s, that was sort of a hybrid of yoga. I want to say it's like kind of a little bit restorative, but it's not. It's very different, but it has some restorative qualities to it. And also pulled from Taoism and Taoist yoga. And the idea is that we're actually targeting the fascia within the body rather than the muscles in the body. Sorry, I'm like apparently very out of breath. But we're targeting the fascia, which the fascia and the connective tissues in the body. So you'll find that we're going to come into a pose, we're going to relax our muscles as much as possible, and we're going to hold for a period of time. Realistically, the way that we move fascia in the body is through consistent, sustained pressure and stress on that part of the body. If we were to move it really quickly, like when you're doing like a workout and you're moving really quickly when you're targeting muscles, right, that would actually potentially snap the fascia. So we don't want to do that. So we really want to take care of ourselves. So move in a way that feels best for you, and also recognize if maybe the ego comes into play and you're finding that you want to move faster or you want to do something different. Check in with yourself and notice, okay, what is this thought? Where is it coming from? What's underneath this? So we'll come into poses, we'll hold them for a period of time. Again, do what's best for you. I'll do my best to offer some different variations of the poses, but you are the expert of your body. You know yourself best. Take care of yourself. My goal for today is that this can be hopefully a nice way to counteract the energies in the world. I know that we've got a major election tomorrow here in the United States, with it being the presidential election tomorrow. The energies in the universe have been very intense with their recent full moon. It was the second full moon in October and happened on Halloween. It's also Halloween. Mercury is in retrograde. Lots of things going on in terms of the universe. So take care of yourself, and let's get started. So you can have your bolster, your pillow off to the side of your mat. And to start, initially I'm going to face away from you, but I'll turn to sort of show you. You're going to come into potentially a slightly wide knees child's pose, not necessarily wide to the edges of your mat, but having your knees not necessarily close together, but maybe about, I don't know, like 3 or 4 inches in between your kneecaps. Part of that is because we're going to move through a flow where we're going to be lifting up, standing on our shins, resting back down, okay? If you find that you have any knee sensitivity, you can always fold your mat, and that gives you a little bit of extra cushion under your shins and your knees. So you'll see here that I did it, and I stopped just before my ankles. I don't necessarily need the support for my ankles, but you can do that if you want. All right. So I'm going to walk you through it. What we'll do, and I'm going to turn to face you, is initially, and I promise we'll have a moment to ground into our bodies, but you'll come forward into a child's pose. So you'll reach your arms long in front of you, rest your forehead on the mat or on the earth. As you inhale, you'll bring your arms, sort of slide them forward, root your fingers down into the mat alongside your hips. Exhale fully. Inhale, stand on your shins, reach your arms up towards the ceiling. Exhale, sit your hips to your heels, ground your hands into the earth alongside you. Take another big breath in. Exhale, begin to walk back out in your child's pose. Inhale, sliding the arms alongside you, fingers root into the ground beneath you. Now exhale, so pause. Inhale, stand on your shins, reach your arms up. Exhale, lower your hands, root them down. Take another inhale here. Exhale, melt your heart forward. I'm going to move through this at your own pace. I'm going to cue you through initially. I'm just going to set a timer because we're going to do it for a period of time. I'm not going to tell you how long. So move through this at your own pace. Move with your breath. My pace might be different from yours. So coming down into a child's pose to start. Inhaling, sliding your arms back, rest your shins, fingertips reach to the ground. Exhale fully. Inhale, stand up, arms reach. Exhale, hips to heels, fingertips to the earth. Inhale. Exhale, reach forward, melt your heart to the earth. Inhale, heart lifts, fingertips ground. Exhale fully. Inhale, reach, arms up. And exhale, ground your fingertips. Oops, just lost my count. Oh, inhale, one more for good measure. Exhale, melt your heart forward. I'm going to stop cueing so I can focus, but move with your breath. Feel free to sigh out the mouth. Really nice. Listen to your breath. Move at a pace that works for you. Know that you can rest anytime. Keep your eyes open or closed, whatever feels safest. You can always rest on your shins instead of lifting your hips if it would feel better. I know the muscles in my upper thighs start to get a little tired. Do one more round at your own pace. Meet me in a child's pose. Maybe wrap your arms alongside you. Rest your forehead or your chin on your mat. Let your torso be heavy against your thighs. And just notice internally what your experience is. Notice if you feel any warmth in the muscles in your legs, particularly your quads, your upper thighs, tops of your thighs rather. Notice your heart rate. Notice the quality of your breath. Slowly use your arms to push your torso upright. You can gently sit back onto your heels to unroll your mat if you had it folded over. And then gently come to find a seated position on your mat. Instead of tucking one ankle under one leg, you might allow your feet, your knees, your shins to be parallel to one another. You can rest your palms face up if you need some more energy, or palms face down if maybe you need a bit more grounding in your life. Gently begin to sort of move your torso around, finding an area that maybe if there's some stickiness, just kind of rolling it out. If you're doing circles, make sure you roll the opposite direction as well. But kind of this movement in our torso allows us to find that balance point where we can center our hips underneath us and have our shoulders aligned over our hips. Rest your chin so that it's parallel to the floor. Allow your shoulders to be heavy alongside you and melting together down your back. Maybe you close your eyes or you keep your eyes open, gazing at a soft point, a non-moving point. Your heart shines forward, your jaw is soft. Just allow your awareness to rest on whatever kind of catches your attention in this moment. Maybe that's your breath. Maybe it's the temperature against your skin. It's a bit windy here in Boston today, so for me, I'm also hearing the sound of the wind through the trees and against my house. Let's see if you can keep your attention focused on whatever sensation or sense you notice you're more attracted to. Naturally, you will find yourself distracted. Your mind will wander. Something else will catch your attention. Gently nudge yourself back to your initial focal point. Your spine is long and the crown of your head could almost reach up towards the ceiling. And there's this simultaneous action of your top of your head reaching towards the ceiling, your shoulders, your hips rooting down towards the earth. Allow your belly to be soft so that you can breathe deeply into the full depths of your torso. I invite you to check in with yourself. Notice if there's anything that you need from this practice today. Honor whatever need that is that arises. If you need to lay on your mat and simply listen to the practice, honor that, do that. You don't have to move. I'm feeling the urge to say there's no such thing as productivity in yoga, but I feel like we could really dissect that. But perhaps for today, it doesn't have to be a productive practice. Instead, offer yourself the luxury and the privilege of being present with yourself. Make peace fingers with your first index and middle fingers. Reach your arms long, planting your pointer finger and your peace fingers rather into the earth alongside you. Press those fingers into the earth. Take a big breath in. Hold the breath for a moment. Exhale fully. Again, inhale, imagine you could gather up the energy from the earth through your fingers. Hold for a moment. And exhale. Once more, big, beautiful breath. Nice and hold. Exhale. Slowly blink open your eyes if you had them closed, or lift your gaze. Extend your legs long out in front of you for a moment. Maybe bring your hands behind you to sort of move my props. Swivel your legs back and forth, just kind of allowing for some movement inside the hip joint and your hip flexors. Maybe point and flex your toes, roll out your ankles. You might even gather your shoulder blades together against your heart and push your heart up towards the ceiling, maybe tilting your head back. I know this feels particularly good for me because I'm always hunched over my computer. I try to have good posture, but shoot, it is hard. All right. Keeping your right leg extended, bend your left knee and just stamp your left foot outside of your right thigh. We're going to be moving into a seated twist. You might find that you can keep your right leg bent and extended, or you might take it into a little bit of a deeper expression and wrap your right foot around you. So you bend it back so that your right foot is coming outside of your left hip. I'm going to probably take my leg long today because I like that I get a little bit of a stretch across the back of my, right leg. I might have said left. Take a big breath in. As you exhale, gently hug your left knee toward your heart. Begin to twist towards the left side of your space, maybe bringing your left hand behind you as more of a, almost like a kickstand, so that you can press your hand into the earth to really emphasize a long, straight spine. Turn your gaze so that your chin is over your chest. Pause here. Continue with your gaze over your chest. And then just notice if maybe you were twisting more with your neck. And make sure that the twist is really stemming from your spine. You might feel some sensation across your outer left thigh. Maybe a stretch across the IT band. You might feel almost like a swirling or a spinning, rotating across your spine. It's important, particularly in this shape, to allow the muscles in your legs, to be relaxed. And while your left arm is doing a little bit of work, potentially just keeping your spine long and reaching towards the ceiling, can you allow the rest of your body to melt relatively into the shape, really allowing your bones to support you here? Given that we'll be in this shape for a few more minutes, notice if you're at your fullest expression or at like the complete end of this pose, and see if you can gently come back so that you can find more of a midpoint. So not too intense, not too gentle, but more of a midway point of, I can feel sensation, particularly in the outer left thigh, maybe my outer left hip, but it's not unbearable. And it's also not like, oh, this is so easy, I could be here forever. Recall that focal point where you had placed your attention, whether it was your breath, sensation of the temperature of the air on your skin, the noise in the room or outside your room. You can use that as your drishti in yoga, which is, as I mentioned, a focal point where one places their attention. It can be a way to really promote a deeper mindfulness and meditative practice. You've been in this shape for a couple of minutes, so notice if anything needs to be adjusted. If you're experiencing any numbness or tingling, gently ease yourself out of it. If you find that maybe the sensation is dissipated in your outer left thigh, or perhaps the sensation is dissipated across the spine, maybe you take a big breath in, lengthen your spine long. Exhale, gently coax your torso just a bit more to the left. But again, deeper is not the goal in this practice. We want to be in that 4 or 5 out of 10, not too intense, not too gentle. We'll be here for less than a minute. Make sure your spine is still long, your shoulders are broad, collarbone is broad. Take a long, full breath in here. Exhale, gently unwind from your twist. Help your left leg return to the right. Maybe gently start to sort of fold forward towards your feet. Don't necessarily come into the full expression though just yet. Maybe reach for your feet. Just kind of round your spine, let your head hang heavy. Gently come back upright and pause for a moment. Maybe you press your hands into the earth on either side of your hips, really allowing that energy to feel really grounding. Relax your feet. Relax your legs. Maybe you let your feet kind of spill out to the sides for a moment. Notice if there's a difference between your right and left hip. Right outer thigh, left outer thigh. Maybe you can even sense some more openness across your spine on one part of your body. I'm noticing particularly in my upper body, there's a bit more sensation in my upper left side of my shoulders. Take a full breath in. And let it go. Move on to the other side. So bending your right leg now, bringing your right foot outside of your left thigh. And again, you can choose to keep your left leg long and straight, or maybe you bend the knee so that you bring your left foot towards your left hip. This is going to be a deeper expression of the twist, and also potentially, I didn't say this on the first side, but it places a bit more intensity or tension, there we go, on the left knee. So just be mindful of knee sensitivities. Again, I'm going to sort of take it easy today. This isn't easy, let's be real. I'm going to extend my left leg because I'm going to. I did it on the first side and I kind of want to do it on the second side. I like also that it gives me a little bit of an hamstring stretch. Y'all, words are hard today. There's just a lot going on in the world. So remember, we're going to keep our right hand behind us as more of a kickstand. So take a big full breath in here. As you exhale, begin to twist your torso over to the right side of your space. Maybe you wrap your left arm and kind of hug your right knee toward you, right thigh toward you. Turn your head so that you bring your gaze back over your heart, and just notice again if you were twisting more with your neck or trying to enforce that twist to come from your neck, and really allow it to be centered in your torso. This shape really targets the fascia along our spine. which for me right now, I'm hunched over a computer a lot of the time, more than normal. I'm definitely noticing a lot more tightness in my back. And this is a way to really tap into the fascia, which is this deep, deep connective tissue, although there's actually several layers of it. But the fascia is, I believe, holds, I'm going to say, a third of the water in the body, but you might not hold me to that. But it is mostly water. And it wraps around the bones and the muscles and the joints within the body. And it really just kind of keeps all of our organs and everything together. And it's how we're in like a human shape rather than just kind of being a blob of bones and organs. So it's very, very fascinating. And I think up until maybe like 20 or 30 years ago, it wasn't necessarily something considered important by science. So lots of stuff coming out all the time related to fascia. So you're pressing your right hand into the earth behind you so that you can keep a long spine, chin parallel towards the earth. Your heart is over your hips, shoulders over hips. And your legs are relatively relaxed. See if you can breathe really deeply here and allow the breath to almost massage your spine, massage your internal organs. If at any point anything feels like it's going numb or there's a tingling or burning sensation, whatever it might be, gently release or ease out of the shape however you need to. I'm going to gently unwind a little bit because for me, the twist is putting a lot of pressure on my right hip flexor. And even though I gently eased out of the shape, I'm still experiencing about a 4 or 5 out of 10 on particularly my spine and my outer right hip, outer right thigh as well. Big, deep breaths here. Got about a minute left in this shape. Take a long breath in. Gently sigh it out. Once more, big breath in. Let it go. Gently release your right leg, excuse me, to meet your left. Allow your torso to unwind. Maybe reach the arms up for a moment. Gently bend back. And then again, ground your fingers, your hands into the mat alongside your hips. Keep your legs long. Press your hands into the mat and lift your torso just so that you can have a really long spine here, but a neutral spine. Let your shoulders hug together, shoulder blades hug together across your back so that you can really broaden through your chest, your collarbones. As you feel ready, gently grab your pillow or your bolster and bring it to rest on your legs. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see me. All right. We're going to move into caterpillar, but a bit more of a restorative version. So there's no pretty way to say this, but reach with your hands to your bum and just kind of smooth your bum out so that you can sit on your sits bones. And then sort of, this is going to sound again also maybe weird, but you're going to really press your hips down and kind of shimmy your spine long so that you can kind of wiggle and wriggle towards your feet. And then just gently melt. I have this too close to my pelvis, or belly. Gently melt yourself forward so that you can rest your head or maybe your chin onto your pillow or pillows or bolster. You might reach for your feet. Maybe that's too far away. You can always rest your arms along the floor. If you find the backs of your knees are really tight, mine totally are, bend your knees a little bit. And then maybe I'm going to turn my pillow sideways. Then maybe it offers you a little bit more space just to kind of melt over your legs. What we are targeting in this shape is the back of our legs, our hamstrings, but we're also going to have maybe some like expansion across our upper back. So we just twisted, and now we're going to sort of allow the spine to melt forward and cascade over our legs. So play around with the position of your pillows, your bolster, your support. Find what works best for you. Ensure that you have space in your midsection and your belly to really be able to breathe fully. A good indicator that you've gone too deep in a pose in yin yoga is when you can't breathe. Relax the muscles in your arms, in your feet, in your legs. If you were in Boston, you experienced the snow on Friday. I think it was Friday. But maybe you can imagine that your back, your upper back, your shoulders, your spine is almost like the melting snow, and it's kind of melting back towards the earth. We won't be here for too long, maybe about a minute. Notice how your breath might massage out your upper spine, your shoulder blades. Maybe it even massages your low back. As you feel ready, take an inhale. Exhale. Inhale, use your arms to lift your torso back upright. Move your pillow or bolster off to the side. Gently hug your knees in toward your chest for a moment. Maybe balance on your sits bones. Long spine. Try to play around with balance for a moment. And then as you feel ready, bend your knees, but plant your feet on the ground and then windshield wiper your knees back and forth. So this again gets into the hip flexor a little bit. Also gets a little bit of a twist into the low spine. And then when you feel ready, gently lie down on your back. Extend your legs long towards the ceiling. Just for a moment, legs up the wall. Rather, that's sort of the name for this, but I realize that we're not up against a wall. Although if you have a wall nearby, this is really nice to do against, because then you don't have to keep your legs extended with your muscles or bones. You can just let them rest on the wall. But we won't be here for too long. You just know, like, if you watch my videos on here, you know that I love this shape. So part of my intention with today's practice, you'll notice it's been a bit more, not necessarily restorative, right? But not too challenging. There's a lot of rooting, right? Rooting down through our fingers, through our palms, through our pelvis. And my hope is that the practice can feel grounding for you during a time where everything in the world feels extremely intense. And this practice might not feel grounding. Maybe it feels activating for you, and that's okay too. And come back to at the start of this practice, right, when we checked in with ourselves and asked what we needed today. Honor whatever feelings are coming up for you. Know that they are valid. Practice ahimsa, right? Non-harming, one of the yamas of yoga. See if you can be non-judgmental, being a non-judgmental witness to your experience in this practice. Bend your knees down toward your shoulders. Reach your hands either towards the inside or the outside of your feet, and then gently pull your feet down toward your hips. Or rather, imagine that you were pulling your feet down maybe towards your armpits, rather. So it's almost like you're in an upside down squat. This is happy baby pose. We want to be experiencing a 4 or 5 out of 10, particularly in the groin and in our inner leg line, in our hips. As much as possible, encourage your shoulders to melt towards the earth so that you're not kind of scrunching them up towards your ears or trying too hard to reach. If it's too far, that your feet are too far away, you can always rest your hands on your ankles or your shins. Kind of a weird but fun hybrid is to sort of wrap your arms behind your knees and then reach toward your ankles. This provides the legs with a little bit of support, but it also encourages with your elbows, your thighs to spread a little bit more, which really works into the inner thigh lines. Good reminder to relax your feet. Let your pelvis and your spine be heavy against the mat. Lift your head for a moment, tuck your chin toward your chest, and then lower your head back down and make sure that you're supporting your cervical spine, the back of your neck. Breathe deeply into your low belly. Imagine that your breath is like a wave. The inhale is sort of the tide rolling in. Exhale. Everything rolls out. If at any point the sensation is too much, you can always lower your legs, your shins. Maybe bring the feet together. That lessens for me personally the intensity of the stretch across my inner leg line. You can also always lower your feet down to the earth. Just have your knees bent, but everything rounded if you want to take a break or pause. We'll be here for about another minute. Notice if you need to shift the placement of your hands. If you need to perhaps maybe straighten one leg for a moment and then the other, to kind of stretch out the back of the legs and give the hips a moment to breathe. This does bring quite a bit of compression into your hip flexors. So again, if you find it's too much, straightening the legs a little bit more, encouraging them more up towards the ceiling will release that. Take a big, deep breath here. Side out the mouth. Beautiful. Slowly begin to release your feet toward your hips. Bring your knees together. Hug your knees toward your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. Maybe curl up into a little ball for a moment. And then slowly just lower your feet down to the mat with your knees bent. Maybe bringing your feet to the edges of your mat. Knocking your knees in together for a moment. Maybe rest your hands on your belly so that you can feel the movement of your breath. Long, deep breaths here again, still into the base of your belly, really breathing fully. Allowing those waves of breath to just dissolve any tension still lingering in your body. Allow it to dissolve any tension still lingering in your mind. Offering yourself the space to be present again in this practice. Full breath in here. Let it go. Slowly begin to curl up onto one side and then flip yourself like a pancake onto your belly. And then you might stack your palms for a moment, resting your head or one cheek onto the back of your hands. Wiggle your hips out from side to side to release any tension in the low back. Point your right toes, extend your left leg long, right leg long behind you. Imagine that you slightly, let me start that sentence over, slightly lift your right leg up off the mat. Point your right toes, engage every muscle in your right leg. Point, point, point. Really imagine someone's pulling your right leg. And then release. Let your right leg relax fully. Let's give the left leg some love. So point your toes, lift your leg slightly. Engage every muscle. Really point, point, point. Imagine someone's pulling your left leg out of its socket. Pull, pull, pull. Clench all the muscles. And release. And then again, just let your body settle for a moment. Inhale, gently come up onto your forearms. Bring your forearms to parallel in front of you. And you'll want them in about like a number 11 shape. So parallel meaning your elbows are hugging in. Elbows, wrists, hands are parallel to one another. Fingers spread wide. And play with the distance of your elbows away from your shoulders. The further away your elbows are, the less of a back bend this will be, which means less compression in your spine. The closer your elbows are to being underneath your shoulders, the more of a back bend you're in, the more your heart is lifted. Therefore, you have maybe more compression in the low spine. Notice the distance of your legs. If you have them further apart behind you, that offers a little bit less pressure in the spine. Bringing your feet closer together might actually increase, in particular, again, sort of that pressure or compression or tightness in the low back. So find again that 4 or 5 out of 10. We will not be here for too long. It's a Sphinx pose. Pull your shoulder blades down and across your back. Maybe gaze just about 6 inches or so in front of your fingers, keeping the back of your neck in line with the rest of your spine. Let your legs be heavy and relaxed. Your pelvis is heavy and really rooted down towards the mat. Your spine is long and growing out and up from your pelvis. Your heart is pushing forward through your upper arms. And just as you've been doing through practice, your breath is really strong and deep into your low belly. Notice the juxtaposition of this pose, how it can feel very strong and grounded, right? There's something almost regal about the Sphinx pose. It's empowered, and yet it's also humble, with the chin maybe gazing more towards the floor. It's not necessarily this very broad opening across the chest, so the heart is still protected while the body is still in this empowered stance. So maybe this can be an inspiration for you for the week, or for in particular tomorrow, election day, where you can feel that you're safe, you're taking care of yourself, you're holding your heart safe, and you're also empowered and strong and rooted in your beliefs. Got about a minute left or so. Notice if your shoulders begin to slump forward, press through your forearms. If at any point it's too much, you can always rest your head on the back of your hands, turn your cheek to the opposite side. The sensation is temporary. Discomfort is temporary. My personal mantra, everything is temporary. Full deep breaths into your belly. Big breath in. Exhale, let your heart melt towards the earth. Maybe bring your arms long alongside you. Let your shoulders and your arms rest. Turn your head to one side, perhaps the opposite side from when we first laid on our belly. Really let your whole body be heavy here. I'm going to sit up for a moment just to grab some water, but continue to lie here on your belly. letting all the muscles in your body rest and relax. Just as we pulled energy from the earth earlier with our fingertips. Imagine that there's this really nourishing, restorative energy just pouring into your body from the earth. And y'all, I know sometimes I can say stuff that's super cheesy. Take it or leave it. Do whatever works for you. I want this practice to be what you need. So you can stay here, resting on your belly for Shavasana. Or you might flip back over, flip of the pancake, and come onto your back. Extend your legs long. Maybe give yourself a long, big full body stretch. Reach your arms overhead, point your toes, extend your body in both directions. Relax, rest. Lower your arms maybe by your side. Allow your feet to flop over side to side. Grab a sweatshirt, a blanket, a pillow, whatever you need. And slowly settle in, fidgeting as much as you need to in these first few moments of Shavasana so that you can be comfortable. If you're on your back, lift your head for a moment, tuck your chin toward your chest, gently lower your head back down. Again, protecting your cervical spine, the back of your neck. Perhaps you close your eyes if it feels safe to do so. Allow your jaw to be soft, your eyelids to be heavy. Your toes, your feet are relaxed. Your ankles are relaxed. Your legs are long and heavy on your mat. Your pelvis is heavy and rooted against the mat. Your spine is resting, supported by the earth. Shoulder blades supported by the earth. You're on your belly, your chest and your belly are supported by the earth. Your fingers, palm of your hands are relaxed. Your wrists are soft. Your arms are heavy. Your jaw is soft. Eyelids are heavy. Your forehead is smooth. Breathe normally here, letting your body do what it does naturally, right? Breathing itself. Wanted to offer during this Shavasana a brief poem. This is from Oliver, who was a local poet who passed away, I think it was last year. She wrote this poem, Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. Slowly begin to deepen your breath. Apologies if you can hear my heater going off. Allow your breath to move through your whole body, just beginning to awaken your body, cell by cell. Open and close your palms, roll out the wrists into point and flex your toes, curl your toes, roll your ankles. Softly and gently turn your head over towards the right. And then softly and gently roll it towards the left. Bend your knees toward your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. Then slowly roll over to one side, pausing for a moment on your side, curled up into a little ball. Use your arms to bring yourself upright and come to sit cross-legged or with your opposite shin from when we started, parallel to the other. Have a long, straight spine. Center your shoulders over your hips. Ensure that your chin is parallel to the ground. Bring your left hand to rest over your heart, fingers spread wide. Right hand rests over your belly, fingers spread wide. Apply a gentle pressure here so that you can feel your hands against your body. Long breath in. Sigh it out. Amazing. Again, big breath in. Sigh it out. Last one, make it count. Big breath in. And let it go. Keep your hands on your body for a moment. Tuck your chin toward your chest. Offer your body gratitude for being able to move the way that it did today during this practice and the way that it moves every day to support you. Offer gratitude to those who shared in this practice virtually with you. And perhaps send gratitude and love to someone in your life that you really care about. And for good measure, let's send some gratitude and love out to the world. Take another big breath in. Soft exhale. Slowly begin to blink open your eyes, release your hands, come back to the space. Thank you so much for practicing today. It's lovely being with you virtually. I wish you all well. Please take good care of yourselves. Feel free to reach out to me if you've got any questions. Definitely check out all the other amazing yoga and meditation videos that are hosted here on CSDS's YouTube page, Northeastern Spiritual Life. I look forward to seeing y'all next week. Please take good care of yourselves. This is an intense week. No matter what your political views are, it's intense. So do what you need to do to take care of yourselves.